You gotta get a better one. You gotta get a better one. All right.
That's great.
Let's settle down, class.
Oh, this is the... Somebody wants this.
You just like bear mind crime everywhere. I once said, actually, okay, I'm not going to say it. I'll tell you afterwards. Someone sent me a great seltzer line. And then I saw it in action. All right, after this.
You remember at the end of that?
You remind me. I'm busy. I'm working on it. Okay, here we go. Okay, Tzadi Gimel. Tzadi Gimel is a big Sicha. It's a big Sicha. I mean, they're all big. This one's just large and has a lot of words.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Now the boys are here.
Here we go. All
right, we're gonna read. I think we're gonna read.
Read a song for tonight.
You want to play a song?
I don't know.
You want to play something at the end?
No, I don't know. I just want to hear beautiful Torah, but like.
Okay, so here we go. So how about you?
It's a long day, Rabbi.
Okay, so get into it. Let's go. Let's get into some pinimis here. So let's read about half the Sicha. We'll throw up our hands and say we really have no idea what he's talking about, and then we'll just pretend like we do to try to figure out what he's talking about.
It's heavy.
It's heavy.
A lot of das here.
Yeah, a lot of das here. Da. Here we go. So he starts off with a banger. Da sheish or shumeir be'elef olamas. You should know Rabbi Nachman says that there's a light that enlightens 1,000 worlds. There's a light that's powerful. A lot of lumens. Is it lumens? Huh? You like that? Huh?
With an E.
What do you mean? I know. Lumenes. Yeah. Why? What's with an I? Like illuminate. Similar. Dashish Orshu Meir Be'elef Olamas. So there's this light that is so powerful, can blast through 1,000 worlds. V'zeha or ein adam pashit yachal lakab machbas gadla. There's a light that a simple person cannot be makabel because it's so great, this light. V'tzarech lezeh chacham gadol. You need a big chacham. Sheyuchal lechalek alofim lemeos. You need a chacham who could take the 1,000 and turn it into hundreds. Because that's, ready, pun intended, that's acceptable. Because you can't accept the light, said before. You guys get it? Yeah? Thank you, Aga, for laughing. That was actually, it's a good pun. Yeah. No, that's a big union. To be acceptable, if you understand the amkus of the word, it's really we're gonna learn a lot about that word from this Torah. Sorry, this Sicha. So you need a chacham who could downgrade or chop into pieces, really, the 1,000 into 10 hundreds. You need him to be able to take apart that great light and turn it into pieces, smaller pieces, again the hundreds. So you can have people of smaller nature than the Talmud Chacham be able to makabel, to accept. That was the acceptable joke. To accept it little by little, right? To get to the 1,000 eventually, 100 by 100. Kamal Mashal brings up a Mashal. Kesha echad omer pshat o chilik gadol ma'od. If somebody wants to have pshat in something, it could be in Torah or it could be really in anything in the world in a deep way. O chilik gadol, like a lumdis. A chilik, 2 ways to look at something. But sometimes the pshat is too big for the person who's listening to receive it. We'll explain. Ki chatzi pshat, half a pshat, which is what the person could be makabel. Ef shalakabel ki im kul. You can't really accept a chatzi pshat because the pshat is 100%. So if you're only able to accept, if I told you, I don't want to explain it right now.
You can't be half pregnant.
You can't be half pregnant.
A little pregnant. Pregnant.
Should I let you explain that one?
You either are or you're not. That's the word. It's a little pregnant.
Well, we're going to have to get into that a little bit. But let's leave it at that. You can't be half pregnant. Okay, Noah. We'll sign you up for that one. Aval, kishemachalken pshat, v'hachilik lechalakam minyanim. But if you take the pshat, instead of trying to shove it down the person's mind, right away, you chop it up into pieces. then this person, the receiver, can receive properly the entire pshat over time. Kach, so too, says Rabbi Nachman, yesh or shu meir be'elef olamas. There is this light, again, that lights up 1,000 worlds. V'hu hasaga echad. But it's one hasaga, it's one piece. To receive it, to be masagit, to understand it, it's one shot. Dainu she'ef shel hasag oso ela kulo. You cannot receive this pshat, a half of it. You have to receive the whole thing. Because the light, it's one light. It's one light that spreads 1,000 worlds far. You can't just chop half of it. You have to chop the whole thing. But you can only chop it if you break it down into pieces. He says, but a Talmid Chacham, we're really going to pause over here, but I'll just read the line anyway. But a Talmid Chacham who knows how to take revenge, it's really a Gemara, we'll see. He's able to break it up into 1,000, the 1,000 to hundreds. We said before that Talmid Chacham needs to do this. Now he's going more into what type of Talmid Chacham. Dahainu l'chalek or gadol l'chalakim kedei shuch l'kablo, meaning to take that great light and break it up into pieces. Okay, let's that line, we don't need that right now. Let's go back, let's understand the first chelik, and then we'll come in deeper.
Why would we say like chacham, not like tzaddik? Because there's like specific reason as to why I chose that word.
Why chacham, not tzaddik? Yeah, I think we'll try to explain that. Yeah. As part of this beginning. Any other? You in the back? You still want to play a song? Or you want to get to the pshat? What song would you play based on what we just read?
I think there's a song in his head going on. I hear it.
Yeah, you hear it?
I can hear it.
You know, Rabbi Nachman talks about, I don't know if this is before your time, Rabbi Nachman talks about the silent scream. No? Rabbi Nachman talks about a person he talks about screaming to Kadosh Baruch Hu is a big thing, but let's say you're in public, you can't just scream out, Tati and Hashem, you're not going to do it. He says, based on biology, that if a person in his mind imagines himself screaming, the same biological inner movements is happening, except for the fact that you're not actually screaming, but the same inner world is happening in your body. The same things. He says, listen, you were there long.
Doing it right now.
But no, but what's my point? Because I'm going to get to the point yet. He says that if you do it, and like you really like imagine it, he says sometimes because you're imagining the scream, and again, it's very similar to the screaming, a little bit of a noise might come out of your mouth because it's so similar. So I'm saying you heard the, yeah. That was my point.
Was it the same one where he said he was amongst everybody? And he turned around and said, was it different?
It might be, I don't remember. It might be
among everybody, but he was still able to turn around when you...
Maybe. I'll have to look it up. It was early on. I don't remember exactly which shows. Anyway. Okay, here we go. So now we have to understand what is... Yes? That's fine. What is 1,000? What is a light that's 1,000 worlds? What does that mean? What does it mean to break it up into pieces, into hundreds? What does it mean a chacham? Why is it? He says, what was the lashon? He said a chacham gadol. So you need a chacham, but specifically a chacham gadol, and not a tzaddik. What else could we ask here before we move on?
One that takes revenge.
Okay, we're gonna get back to that. I think we're gonna save that for the second half. I mean, it could be today, but just the second half because that's already another piece. Okay. So.
The mashal, half of shot.
Okay, we'll have to explain the mashal. Just part like how do we explain the mashal? Again, all b'derech after we're try our best. So I'll tell you a long time ago. This is not where this thought started, but I'll tell you a little bit of a Dvar Torah I once heard. Not Dvar Torah, it's okay. Yeah. I should have looked up the Sefer. I'm sorry. I have a Sefer in my house. I was given the Sefer. Somebody in shul here. I think I forgot his name. I think his name was Jeremy Blonde. Is there a boy like that? You guys know that name? No? Anyway, I think he's here. I think he gave me a Sefer once from his grandfather. His grandfather who learned, his grandfather learned with either the Lubavitch Rebbe, Friedrich Rebbe, or the Rebnitzer. I don't remember. Some big chacham, some big tzaddik. And he wrote this Sefer. It's a small Sefer. It's on the Chumash. And he has these great diyukim in the Chumash, and then he has a little bit of Pnimius. It's a fascinating Sefer, but you're not going to find it in any farm store. And he gave me a copy. And one time I saw when Moshe Rabbeinu was creating the system of judges, the Beis Din. So if you remember, the pasuk says, "Va'ata sechze mikol am," go see from the whole nation, find, right, for the judges, the characteristics of a judge has to be Anshe Chayil, Yirei Elokim, Anshe Emes, Soni Betza, right? These high level, they have to be strong people, they have to fear Hashem, they have to be people of honesty, they have to hate money. V'samta aleim, and place upon them Sari Alofim, Sari Meus, Sari Chamishim, Sari Asaros. Right? You should have one judge over 10, then you have a type of judge over 50, then you have a type of judge over 100 people, and then the biggest type of judge is over 1,000 people. Such a big person. So there, he explained, if we know that there's four basic worlds, we live in the Olam Asiyah. The Olam Asiyah, Sheba Asiyah, really. But the physical world we live in is called the Olam Asiyah. It's the world of action. But there are three other worlds that are here. They're not in outer space. They're just different layers of reality, and they're different types of reality. So you're not going to be able to touch it. You're not going to be able to feel it necessarily. It's called the Olam HaYetzira, the Olam of fashioning, if you want to translate into English, the Olam HaBriya, the world of creation. And then there's the Olam HaTzilus. You've heard of this? The world of emanation. Four worlds. Okay? So he wanted to say, now we know that the highest of the four worlds is Atzilus. Asiyah is the lowest. So he wanted to compare the types of judges to those four worlds. The judge over 10 people, the lowest level judge, he's from the world of Asiyah. Obviously a good person, smart person, holy person. The higher, the one of 50, he's from the Olam HaYetzira. The one from 100 is the Olam HaBriya. And the one over 1,000 is the world of Atzilus. Right? It means this tzaddik, this Talmid Chacham, such a big person, he's from that higher realm of existence. You know, like a Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was over all of Klal Yisrael, which there's a fifth world called the Adam Kadmon, Ak. That's obviously, in this comparison, that's where Moshe Rabbeinu would be. But, so he comes from the world of Atzilus. So the 1,000 is connected to Atzilus. Now, when you're working with these four worlds, now whenever you get four, there's a lot of fours. You could go to the 4 cups of wine, and you can go to the 4 Lashonos Geula. But if you want to go deeper, instead of going more detailed, the deepest 4 is what? Yud Kei Vav Kei. Hashem's name. The Yud, the Vav, the Yud, the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey. Those 4 letters, everything in creation comes from those 4 letters. So the 4 worlds, of course, have to also. Because it's not just creation, it's not just this. Creation is, Hashem created the Olam HaTzilus, He created the Olam HaYebriya, the Olam HaYetzira, and the Olam HaSiyah. So the Yud of Yud Kei Vav Kei is representative of a million bajillion things, but also the Atzilus. The Hey is representative of also Olam HaBriya, the Vav of Olam HaYetzira, and the Hey of Olam HaSiyah. So far so good. 4 letters all represent and really created those 4 worlds. Now, another 4, if you break down the 10 spheres, right, the building blocks of creation, we discussed this, the DNA molecule of every single thing in the world is the 10 spheres. There are 4 major spheres out of the 10 that we deal with. Chachma, Bina, Teferis, and Malchus. Okay? Keser is too high. We'll explain in a second. But Teferis, in Teferis is also Chesed, Gevurah, Teferis, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. So it's 6, right? Or 7. Together with the rest of the 6 is 7. So this Teferis, right? Chesed, Gevurah, Teferis, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. That's 6. Then there's Malchus, 7, Chacham Bina, 8, 9, and then Keser's 10. Now you break it down, Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Yud refers to Chacham. Now on top of the Yud, if you look at a Sefer Torah, there's like that little coat, the Kutzer Shayid it's called, right? Which is like a tiny little tag, it's called. What's a good word in English? It's a crown, whatever it is. That's referring to Keser. It's so slight you can't even talk about it. The Yud then is a little drop, that's Chachma. Then the Hey, an expansion of the Chachma, is Bina. Then you have the Vav, which is drawn down. It's taking that Chachma and that Bina down into a person's system, from the head into the heart. That's Vav, that's Teferis with all the other emotions. Chesed, Gevurah, Teferis, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. And then the last Hey is the action, is the Pu'ula, is the Asiyah, is Malchus. So all the 4s line up. The Yud is Atzilus and it's Chachma. The Hey is Bria and it's Bina. The Vav is Yitzira and it's the Ferris with the other spheres. And then the last Hey is the Lamasiya with Malchus. Okay? So far so good? So therefore it comes out that the Or, sorry my voice, the Or that's Meir Be'eluf Olamos, my understanding here is that's the light of Atzilus. It's the light of 1,000. Okay? The 1,000, like we said before, when you have the judge over the 1,000, that was Begeder Atzilus. Okay? And he says, "V'zeh ha'or ein adam poshet yachal lekabel machmas gadol." It's too big for an adam poshet, right? Even an adam kilo, a judge over 1, 10s, or 50s, or even 100s, it's too big for him. Atzilus is the biggest. It's the most, we'll call it complicated for now, but it's not complicated. That's not the right word. It's the most spiritual. You need a big person. Who's the person? The Chacham Gadol. B'tzarech l'zeh Chacham Gadol, sheyuchal l'chalek alafim l'meyos. You need the Chacham Gadol to come and take that light of 1,000 and break into 100s. So why do we need a Chacham for this Or? It's called an Or Pashat. We explained it's Pshat. What do you mean? It's Pshat. It should be simple. Why do you need a Talmid Chacham for that? So Pshat, or light is Pashat. I don't know how to explain it. Look at the light in the room. It's not complicated. It's just light. Simple. There's no pieces to it. Right? Light, there's no pieces. It's either there, it's not there. Light. Now, there's a type of Pashat Yid. Right? The Chacham and the Tam. There's a Tmimus, there's a Pshat, a Pashat Yid, who his Madrega is from a place of another. Okay? A Pashat Yid is someone who has another. Pashat. Pshitis and Tamimus, like Rabbi Nachman says. He's uncomplicated. He's not complex. Very simple. Okay?
That sounds like the most holy hardest to get to.
It is.
Oh.
Because we're very complicated.
Yeah.
It's true that a true Chacham has to be a Pashat. A true Chacham, we're talking about Chacham, doesn't mean what the world calls wise or smart. We're talking about a Torah dig Talmid Chacham. A true Talmid Chacham is someone who's Pashat. Now, a true Pashat Yid is someone who is simple and he has a Chachma, but he's humble. That's true. So every true Chacham is also a Pashat Yid. However, there's a second type of Chachma that is needed here. You need the Chachma of Moshe Rabbeinu. V'hatalmid Chacham hu bechinas Moshe. The true Talmid Chacham, when Rabbi Nachman refers to a Talmid Chacham, is referring to the Bechin of Moshe. Shemesim atzmo kishirayim. And the Talmid Chacham, like Moshe, makes himself like the extras, like the remnants. The Anava. K'moshe Kosev v'ha'ish Moshe anav mod. Moshe is a big anav. V'ayidei zeh nikra ish Chacham. By being an anav, you get the status called Chacham. K'moshe Kosev v'hachachma me'ayin timatzei. Chachma, where does it come from? From where? Me'ayin, meaning I'm a nothing. Where am I? Like Moshe Rabbeinu, the anav called him. He said, Ma nachnu. Like, what are we that everybody's upset? Moshe and Aaron said, we're nothing. So you have a chachma that comes from another. Pashat Yid. There's a second level of chachma because Moshe Rabbeinu, although he was down of Mikal, he was also quite intellectually bright as well. That's Davar Pashat. So chachma, Talmid Chacham has two levels. There's the Pashat, a Nava, which then he's a Kli, he's a vessel for Kadosh Baruch Hu, uncomplicated, whatever Kadosh Baruch Hu wants, right? But then there's also the Talmid Chacham who can give a shir. The Talmid Chacham who could explain big ideas. In this case, it's not the need of a tzaddik. We need a Chacham who's able to take a big idea, an atzilus, a light that's worth that's 1,000 worlds wide, and we need him to explain that to people. Because a stam person, even a Pashat Yid with all the anava in the world, cannot understand things that are too big. So we need the ultimate Chacham, the ultimate Pasha, the Talmud Chacham, to be able to take that light and break it down into at least 10 hundreds. And maybe even then we need it even trickle down even more, maybe the hundreds into 50s, and 50s into 10s. Right? Big Talmud Chacham is able to take a very big idea and give a mashal, or explain it piece by piece. Right? He can bring you along until you understand it. The Indian here is again Atzilus. This 1,000 world light is the world of Chachma. Right? We have a sphere called Chachma. We have a sphere called Bina. Chachma is a very large idea, but the difficulty is that it's not complex. So we'll talk about it. It's actually simple, but it's so simple and uncomplicated that most people miss it. And you need a big Talmud Chacham who's in that world, who's sensitive to the pshitas, to the simplicity, to be able to break it down into pieces to explain. That's what he says. To be able to take this great light and break it down into smaller pieces, so other people who are not as big as the Talmud Chacham can be able to receive it as well and learn from it. Because you have a light that's 1,000 worlds, that's huge, it's massive, there's a lot to learn from that. But I can't receive that, it's too big. So I need my Rebbe to break it down for me. That's right? Is that what happens? Now these smaller pieces, they're called, when you want to build a big building, so when you want to build with bricks, what is it called? A brick is levanim, like bina. Every brick, you need to build a building, you need 1,000 bricks, whatever. Imagine it was only 1,000 bricks. Sorry for those who built houses that are bigger than that, obviously. But each brick, like levena, I think that's right, it comes from Lashon bina, because of what you have chachma bina. Right? A bina comes from the world of hundreds. Right? Bina is the hay. Bina is the judge over the hundreds. Atzilus, the yud, is the one that judge over the thousands. So the Talmud Chacham is the one who could take from the big light of Atzilus of 1,000, and he could break it down into 10 binas, 10 100s, in order that we can understand it. One piece at a time, we go from one step to the next, to the next, to the next, and we build until we understand the whole piece. I will give you a second as I take a sip of this seltzer, because I'm Jewish. This hit me today. Is there a saying that you've ever heard in the secular world that goes exactly according to what we're saying right now, based on what we just said now? The Chachma de Bina, the 1,000 worlds, and to break it into hundreds pieces.
Is that a trick question?
No.
Do you have one?
I do, yeah.
Oh, you do.
It's unbelievable how it works perfectly.
It's a common saying. Like,
Common saying, you've heard it 1,000 times. It's funny how we always say that, by the way. 1,000, right? You don't say 100 times. I said it 1,000 times. I'm not sure why that is.
Trying to take a sip out of a fire hose.
Trying to take a sip out of it. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Right? What's a picture? It's one scene. It's a chachma. But right? Imagine the picture was a 1,000-piece puzzle. 1,000 little pieces, 1,000 binas to that one picture. Because you have the picture is the chachma, it's the big idea. But to put that together, you need the pieces. And why is it 1,000? Why is it 1,000 words? Why isn't a picture worth 100 words? Because we understand. Because the 1,000 is the 1,000 world light. That's a chachma. And you have to have pieces. Yeah? Okay.
So they took it from us.
Yeah, obviously. Take it from Rabbi Nachman. Okay. I once heard, I couldn't verify, but I'm pretty sure I heard Rav Weinberger say it once. I don't think it, I mean, the story makes sense, even if it's not true mamish, but the Rebbe Rashab.
I'll tell you when he said it.
What?
You just asked me, I'll tell you when he said it.
I know. The Rebbe Rashab. You heard the Rebbe Rashab? It was the father of the Friediger Rebbe. It's the Lubavitch Rebbe. His father-in-law was the Friediger Rebbe, and the Friediger Rebbe's father was the Rebbe Rashab. Rebbe Rashab was in Europe, obviously. And he was known as they called him the Rambam of Chassidus. Just that was a style of giving Sherm clearly a big head. He was the fifth Rebbe. Bob's Rebbe was the seventh. So the story was a very simple story. He was in the forest and he was walking and he stopped. And he went into like a Vegas mode, like a trance. And it was there for a considerable amount of time. And then when he came to, he turned to the person next to whoever I guess the shamash was over there. He said, "Oh, I got enough from that kernel for 100 shirim. And from that which I downloaded, that chachma, I can now give 100 binas, 100 shirim." Which there is a famous set of storm. I think it's I'm gonna get yelled at. I forgot what it's now. It's based on the year. I forgot what it is. Not Tarab. Wherever he has it's like 144, I think, shirim that are one hemshech. 144 that's one long hemshech. It might have come from this kernel in the forest. But anyway, so that's the Indian. The Indian over here, Ben Nachman is discussing, is talking about Chachma and Bina, the two of the highest spheres. Chachma is referred to the 1,000-world light, and Bina is to break it up to become understandable. Now, he gives the mashal. When a person says a pshat or he makes a chila gadol, but because it's not able to be accepted because it's so big. It's 1,000-world light. But it's not because it's complicated. It's actually because it's so pashut. That's the difficulty. He says a chetzi pshat you can't give over. You have to give over a full pshat in pieces. So too, this light of 1,000 worlds, it's one hasag, it's one picture. You can't give somebody half a picture, but you can give them 10 pieces of the picture, and over time they build it. Now, I've used this mashal here before for something else, and I think it'll work here as well. If you give somebody, look this. Okay, this guy, he wants to come. It's a go-go.
And Rochel.
You didn't make it to the 1,000.
Oh, my didn't.
Don't want to make any holes in my clothing.
Not the new stuff. If I have a 100% truth in front of you, I've said this before, and I give you 50% of it. So looking at it, you could say, this is true, right? It came from a 100% truth, so I give you 50% of it, 50% is true. The problem is that it's only true if
100%.
you tell the person or he knows that it's only half. But if you give somebody 50% of 100 and you don't say anything, and that guy assumes that's all there is, kilu, it's 100% truth, you just turned what could have been emes into complete sheker.
Isn't there a saying that half a truth is 100% a lie?
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, there you go. Is it? I don't know. I hear that.
Right.
All right, ChatGPT. I got a lot of sayings today. That could be. It makes sense, right? See, you can't give a pshat. You can't give half a pshat and say, here's the pshat. That's sheker. But you could take a pshat, break it up into 10 pieces and say, here's 1 of 10, here's 2 of 10, and slowly allow that person to build up over time. That's emes. Right? Did you find it? The difficulty...
The exact wording varies. A half-truth is a whole lie.
Okay, so that's the same. That's good enough.
Oh, in Yiddish, there's a similar one. A halbe emes is a ganze lily.
That sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The difficulty of the world of true chachma. So when we say chachma, we're not just talking about being a wise person. We're talking about the sphere of chachma, the light of 1,000 worlds. The Svarim, Maral says it. I saw quoted. Eitz Chaim, Arizal says it, or Chaim Vital says it. I think the Moreh Nevuchim, the Rambam writes about this. They refer to Kadosh Baruch Hu as the Pashut B'Tachlis HaPshitas. They refer to Kadosh Baruch Hu as the most Pashut thing in the entire world. You're crazy, the most Pashut thing in the world, Kadosh Baruch Hu? The most complicated thing in the world. How could you call Kadosh Baruch Hu Pashut? That sounds like insulting even. What does Pashut mean? Pashut means that there's... What?
Unbroken?
Not just unbroken. Get this guy out of here.
like
There's no complexities. There's no pieces. It's echad. It's echad mamish. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was, he is, and he always will be. Simple. We're the problem. We make it complicated. If you would just believe in that, you'd be good to go. How could I believe in that? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so big. It's so many pieces going on. The problem is that when we see with our eyes, what do we see? I see 10,000 books over here. Because we see the world in Bina. We see the world in pieces. It's rare to have a person who's able to see beyond the pieces to the larger scheme that is not seen with the naked eye, the Chachma, the 1,000-world light. Kadosh Baruch Hu is the Pashat Tachas Apshitas. He's so Pashat, he's beyond. He's the Tachas Apshitas. It's unfathomably Pashat. That's why it's very hard for us. That's why we can't understand. We have to just go into Emunah mode. I believe. Chachma is about Emunah, really. Because Chachma is about a Nova. True Chachma. Chachma is Koach Ma. I can't understand. Because when you say I, you're in the world of Bina. I think like this, I think like that. Let me break it up. You're in the world of Bina. You're analyzing, you're dissecting. Chachma is something bigger than that. It's something that you're masig. You kind of just get it. It just makes sense. It's a picture in a certain way.
You have to think about it.
In a certain way. Now, it could come over time, over learning something or about the world or things with many, many pieces, many, many details. But then at a certain point, you can't understand the Chachma on your own. You can learn all the details, all the binas, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu kind of has to allow you just to understand it. He has to drop it into your head. You can't get there. You could get up to the place, you could build yourself a vessel, and then it has to drop inside. A true Chachma. Some of the greatest epiphany, the wow moments, all these things that people had over the history, whether it could be even secular, that came because it was dropped into his head. You could learn all you want, but that actual drop is not you. And the more you're an Anav, the more you might be able to Zocha to receive such a thing. The Talmid Chacham is a true Anav, and he's a true Chacham, because he has to know Bilat Abinas. And then he can be Masig, that Or Pashit, the Tachlis Apshitas, and not just he can be Masig it, he can then break it down into pieces for people to understand also, to bring them to that place. But so if you can only bring the horse to the trough, and you could teach him all the different pieces, but still, even the Talmud is going to need some anava to be able to put it together, or have it be put together in his head. Because I think this is true, the sum is greater, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. What's the line? You guys don't know anything. You guys are intellectual. I think it's the whole.
Yeah.
The whole is greater than the sum of all of its parts. Now, how does that make any sense? What do you mean? If I take a piece of pizza and I cut it into 8 pieces, so the 8 pieces make the pizza. So the sum of all the parts should equal the whole.
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
How does that make any sense? So I once tried to, I don't know what the intellectual, scientific understanding is. My understanding in Panemius is, because if you take 8 binas and you put them together, Chachma is more than the 8 binas. Because the Chachma, although, yes, it can be split up into 8 pieces, but you still need a Nakuda that puts it all together. It's like the 9th almost. That's a Kadosh Baruch Hu only. So the whole Chachma is always going to be greater than the sum of its parts or the sum of the binas, because you still need that one Nakuda more that has to put it all together for you. You understand? You could have all 8 binas, but still not get it. You know, like, you get it?
You have a car, but if you don't have the car key, you're not going anywhere. It's like the last piece.
Whatever you want to say.
Like, it needs the whole thing, you know?
But it's a little more amkas here, because it's not necessarily a piece. Now, I have all the intellectual understandings, but still, it doesn't go. You don't get it, right? You have them many times in learning. Someone teaches you something again and again. I get, or what does it say? Like, yeah, Larry Sheldon. He says one time, a few times I'll say like, okay, I read every line. He's like, I read every word. I understand every word, just not together.
Right.
Right? I said each word separately, but I can't put the piece together, the line together.
That summarizes this entire share.
That's what I'm talking about. So that's what this chachma is. So it's larger. The Talmid Chacham is able to break it down into pieces, and at best he could bring you to the trough. He can give you all the different pieces, but so to really get it, you have to be zocher to that hasaga. Yeah, the simple mashal. I mean, it's a simple mashal already. It's not. I don't even know if I have to say it, but I wrote it here, so I'm gonna say it anyway. If you have a jug, that has a very wide spout, and you have a glass that has a very skinny spout, the amount of water in the jug, the glass could hold it. Hold it. But if you pour from the jug with the big spout into the glass with the small spout, what's going to happen? Some water will go in and some water will go out. You've lost some of that water. But if you take the jug and either you pour very slowly, right? So it won't come out the whole spout, it'll come out a little thing. Or you put a funnel in between the big jug and the glass. Now you can transfer from the chachma to the bina. Right? So there's two ways to do it.
Yeah, I think about it all the time. Like the shvius kalim, it's just like be too much ore that just breaks the plate.
So this would be a different type of shvius kalim. Because shvius kalim classic is that you're trying to fit all the energy or all of the water into a vessel that they can't hold it and it shatters. This is a little bit different because here you're having an overflow, but it's not because there's too much water in the vessel. It's because the pipe is too big for the kli makab, for the vessel that's going to receive, and therefore you just push it lost.
Square peg round hole.
Square peg round hole. No? Did you know that I knew that?
What?
Did you know that I know that?
Yeah.
We spoke about that before?
No.
It's one of my favorite lines.
Square peg round hole.
You remember this? This is Apollo 13. You know the movie Apollo 13?
Yeah.
Where that explosion up there, and the guys down below, NASA team had to figure out how to help them. Even right, they have to figure out what went wrong, even though they're not anywhere near the spacecraft. So the guys get into it. Actually, I don't know why it's funny you said that. It's like one of my favorite. I don't know why it sticks in my head. So the whole team gets together, and the guy was leading the rescue squad. He says, "Okay, Chavra, we have to figure out how to help these guys using like these pieces." And he dumps all the pieces that they have up in the spacecraft. They can't use anything else. And he picks up the pieces, and there's a square piece and a circle piece. And he's like, we have to figure out how to get this square piece into this circle peg. Now you understand? No, I just explained.
Well, I didn't know it from the movie, but I just...
That's where that was from. That's what I know. Oh, did I just ruin it?
No.
Spoiler?
Spoiler. Did we make it to the moon? Did we make it?
We made it.
We made it?
Conspiracy.
It's in the Hollywood studio. You can make
What?
it fit.
It took place in the green room anyways.
Happens to be. It could be I'm saying something crazy over here, but if I were to put into shapes, Chachma is a circle and Bina is squares. Right? Because Chachma is like the Sov Mikol Alman. It's the bigger. It's like Pashut, all the sides are equal. When it comes to Binas, you have to analyze, you cut, you're shaping it. So that's really what this
4
is.
corners.
Yeah. So you're trying to fit these squares into that circle. So imagine you take a big circle and you take you chop it into 8 squares. Try putting 8 squares into a big circle. You're probably gonna have some gaps.
Right.
That's why the whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. Because you like this?
We'll tease that one out. We got a...
You guys got a little science class over here today. A little extra. What's in this line over here?
It's very strong.
It's getting to my head, I think.
Agave, pure agave.
Okay. So far, I think we're following. Now, what we're going to have to figure out next week, I don't know if, we can go a little further maybe. See, let's read weiter. So who is the Talmid Chacham that's going to be able to do this, to break down the 1,000 into the hundreds? Ach Talmid Chacham shu nokim v'noter. It's specifically a Talmid Chacham who knows how to take revenge. He's the one who could take 1,000 to 100. Who's this Talmid Chacham? The Gemara talks about. We'll explain in a minute. And the Indian that this Talmid Chacham, specifically the one who could take revenge and avenge and revenge, he's able to do this. It comes from a pasuk in Mishlei. The pasuk says, "V'shona bedover mafred aluf." The person who harps, who just harbors on something, or ruminates, or sits on something again and again. Oh, yeah, I missed it. Anyway, someone who harbors on it again and again, he's mafred aluf. He separates. So Rashi explains that he's mafred aluf, meaning what? You know, who's the aluf of shalom? Kadosh Baruch Hu. So that's what he says. Perish Rashi. Tahainu. No kim v'noter. Who's this person who's v'shona b'davar? The no kim v'noter. The one who wants to take revenge and revenge on somebody. He's always thinking about how he's going to get this person back. He's shona b'davar. He's thinking about it again and again, like he's chazering over.
Mafred aluf is like splitting elef, like 1,000.
Oh, so that's the Rambam's going to say. Very good. Sheshona b'davar shasa l'chavero. Right? He's going over in his head that which his friend did to him. That person, this Pashup Shat, Aidehu Mafred Aluf Shalom. He's separate from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Why? We'll just say simply, because we know that. Why? I'll ask you. Why specifically this person wants to take revenge? He's separating from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. What do you mean? He's separating from this guy,
I'm
maybe?
believing that it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu that sent
It's
it.
very, very simple. Because in Amunah 101, maybe 202, maybe 201 by now, but Amunah 201 says, anything that happens to a person is from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Yes, that guy who popped your tires, he is liable, he's chayiv, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to take care of him, and if you have to sue him, you could sue him. But if you only see that person as being the one who caused this damage, and you don't see that Kadosh Baruch Hu is behind it for some reason, then you're a kofar. Then you're being mafred aluf. You're separating from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Right? So when you have a guy who's just obsessed with somebody did something to him, whatever it may be, or he tried to do something, it's understandable. We're humans. You might get upset at somebody. But if you become so obsessed that you want to take revenge on this person, you're just thinking about all the time, how am I going to get this person back? You're totally out to lunch in Amunah. You're totally separate from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's no Bari Olam over here? So says Rashi on that in his Pasuk in Mishlei, right? That he's mafred, this guy, the nokim v'noter. Aval Talmid Chacham tzarich daikel yos nokim v'noter k'mo she'amar b'seinu. Because who is this Talmid Chacham? The Gemara says in Gemara Yuma, Kol Talmid Chacham she'einu nokim v'noter. Any Talmid Chacham who doesn't take revenge, einu Talmid Chacham. He's not a Talmid Chacham. But what does that mean? So you need a Talmid Chacham who punches you in the face, who has bad midas? Mm-hmm. That's Talmid Chacham? What's Pshat? I don't think we have time for this. We have to get into this whole Indian right now. I'll just keep reading.
Leave on that cliffhanger.
It's a whole other
Talmid Chacham takes revenge.
What?
Talmid Chacham takes revenge.
The Pashup Shot probably is, and then we'll have to see how it fits over here. Pashup Shot probably is that you have a Talmid Chacham who's a pushover. So now you can have people sway his opinion. You could have people who will be mevazeh Talmid Chacham or be mevazeh the Torah, and this Talmid Chacham he's too soft. You need someone who could stand up for the Torah, stand up for himself, stand up for emes.
That's like when we go back to the judges before, 1,000, 100.
He has to be a big boy. He has to be a big boy,
That's
yeah.
the word revenge then. That's not revenge. That's just having self-respect and self-dignity almost.
But he has no. What happens if someone attacks him? He has to then take revenge, meaning go after that person. That doesn't mean physically harm him. But you have to make sure that this person who's mavazi, knows that was totally inappropriate. You can't just be like sometimes there's a place for good midos. Like, okay, I'll take it. I'll stuff honest the guy. So like your kids are yelling at you or something. So sometimes you have to put them in their place. Sometimes it's just like, okay, they're tired. There's nothing to, you don't have to like yell at them every single time. But if a child, I don't want to use the children, but if a person is mavaza Talmid Chacham, let's say before Hesia, it would be inappropriate for the Talmid Chacham to not say anything back. Because then the bizayon is a big bizayon. Anyway, we'll have to pick this up next week. Explain why Dafka, this Talmid Chacham, is one who breaks the thousands to hundreds. And then, it might take another week, and then we'll read lines. Rabbi Nachman's going to go on and he's going to say, someone who knows this Someone who doesn't know this doesn't know how to be happy. Someone who doesn't know this, he doesn't I don't know how to say another one. What did you say? He says someone who knows this could be Mashiach.